Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Symphonic Warrior Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for March 2025. Wanted to update the Symphonic Warrior deck. This deck focuses on a machine lineup of different musical instruments and their pendulum playstyle of being able to get out the many different, symphonic monsters and then adjust their levels, types, attributes, you name it, depending on the type of Symphonic Warrior that we have out in the field, to then make use of these monsters also for different synchro plays that we can go into as well. So, very happy with the updates I've made for the deck, and it has been a while since the last update, with the newest support being all the way back when Dimension Force was released. Maybe we'll see some more musical instruments in the future for the Symphonic Warrior deck, but until then, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and get started with the main deck monsters. For the Symphonic Warrior monsters, we're running 3 copies of Symphonic Warrior mics in the pendulum scale. Unless you have a Symphonic Warrior card in your other pendulum zone, this card's pendulum scale becomes 4, and once per turn during your end phase, you can target one of your banished Symphonic Warriors and add it to your hand. So it's add back power in the pendulum scale, with its monster effect being you can special summon this card from your hand by removing 3 Symphonic counters from your field. After you normal or special summon this card, you can normal summon 1 monster during your main phase in addition to your normal summoner set. So just giving you that 1 additional Symphonic Warrior monster on the field can help for some of your bigger synchro plays, and also just being able to make use of mics to then go into our big synchro monster in the deck, Symphonic Warrior Rocks, with some of our other tuners we run on the deck. We're also running 3 copies of Symphonic Warrior Guitar. When it's normal summon, you can target a Symphonic Warrior in your graveyard and special summon it. Once again, just good synchro setup using this card and one of our tuner cards in the deck as well. And from the pendulum scale, you can discard 1 card to special summon 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck, except for Symphonic Warrior Guitar. You're going to use this effect of Guitar once per turn. So just with that added discard power as well, you can just have this card set up another Symphonic Warrior card in your graveyard for you to then use with Guitar itself to normal summon and summon it back into the field after you discard it with the pendulum scale effect of Guitar as well. More of the 3 ofs include 3 copies of Symphonic Warrior DJJ. In the pendulum scale, once per turn during your main phase, you can flip 1 face down defense position Symphonic Warrior monster you control to face up defense. If a Symphonic Warrior monster effect is activated except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from the pendulum zone. You can only use the effect of DJJ once per turn, but just added setup to use with our Symphonic Warrior Synthesis, being able to just flip up that card and then give us an additional search for a Symphonic Warrior monster using DJJ. And if it's normal or special summon, you can special summon 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck in face down defense except for DJJ, or if Symp Amplifier is in your field zone, you can special summon 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck instead. So just giving you that added setup by also having our field spell on the field that helps to set up our Symphonic counters on the field as well. With the last of the 3 ofs being 3 copies of Symphonic Warrior Guitars, a scale 0 monster, meaning we can potentially pendulum summon out our level 1 monsters that we run in the deck as well. You can target 1 other Symphonic Warrior card you control, return both the card and this card to the hand. You can only use each effect of Symphonic Warrior Guitars once per turn. So what's really cool about Guitars is the added setup of what you can do with your other Symphonic Warrior cards. You can use the play with Guitar in the other pendulum scale using the discard to special summon 1, and then have your Guitars be able to bounce both of them back to the hand to then be able to use Guitar for that normal summon as well. And then if Symp Amplifier is in your field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special zone, you can target 1 card in your pendulum zone, return it to the hand, giving you more bounce power as well just when this card hits the field as a monster also. With the last of the 3 ofs being 3 copies of Symphonic Warrior Synthesis, with its flip effect being able to add 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, except for Symphonic Warrior Synthesis. And once per turn, you can target 1 monster you control in your graveyard with whose original name is Symphonic Warrior, except for Synthesis. And during the end phase, this card's name becomes that monster's original name. Replace the effect of that monster's original effects. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 of your banished Symphonic Warrior monsters and special summon it. So it's add back power, especially when you use it for the flip effect, comboed with our Symphonic Warrior DJJ, being able to add those cards, adjust its card effects on the field, and then give you a special summon as well. For the lower numbers for the Symphonic Warrior monsters, 2 copies of Symphonic Warrior Piano. Once per turn, you can declare 1 monster type, select the face-up Symphonic Warrior monster in the field. That monster becomes that monster type. And you can declare 1 monster type and remove from play this card from your graveyard to select one face-up Symphonic Warrior monster you control and make it become that monster type. So being able to adjust your monster type with your Symphonic Warrior piano, and using our Symphonic Warrior basses and our Symphonic Warrior drums for the added level 1 and 2 tuners. Just one of those though, because they can easily be searched in the deck as well. Being able to adjust your attributes for your monsters using drums, and then being able to adjust the level of your Symphonic Warrior monsters using your basis on the field as well. And then we're also running the 3 copies of Cyber Dragon, just another level 5 machine. If you want to run Gizmic Yada or Ash Blossom in this particular spot as well, you can always replace the Cyber Dragon spot. I like it as another additional level 5 monster, just as an easy special summon to get this monster onto the field. And then with our Symphonic Warrior Mics being another level 5 monster to then overlay the 2 into Cyber Dragon Nova and then into Cyber Dragon Infinity. For the spells, we are running 3 copies of our General Probe. With this card, each time an effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated, place one Symphonic Warrior card on this card. When that effect resolves, you can only use each of the following effects of General Probe once per turn. You can remove 3 Symphonic counters from your field to add 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. If you normal or special summon a Symphonic Warrior monster, except during the damage step, you can add 1 Symp Amplifier from your deck to your hand. So it's search power for the needed field spell in the deck as well. With this card being able to set up that add power, if you will normal summon a Symphonic Warrior monster, being able to add the needed field spell is a big plus off the search, and then just being able to remove the Symphonic counters to add additional cards. So a definite 3 of, because it just is search power after search power. Running 2 copies of Symp Amplifier, with this card just being the go-to card for our General Probe search. Each time an effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated, you place 1 Symphonic counter on this card. When the effect resolves, all Symphonic Warrior monsters gain 100 attack for each counter, and you can remove 5 or 7 on this card to activate the different effect depending on the counters removed. If it's 5, you can inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Symphonic Warrior card on the field, and if it's 7, you can banish cards you control and in your opponent controls or in their graveyard up to the number of Symphonic Warrior cards on the field once again. Search power for more and more of the cards, whether they be in your pendulum scale or on the field for you to use, with the 1 copy of Terraforming as just an additional search on top of the General Probe, because we also have the added card effects when using cards like our Symphonic Warrior DJJ when we have this field spell in the field spell zone. We're also running 2 copies of Ready Fusion and 1 copy of Instant Fusion just for more of the machine level 5 special summon power to go into the Cyber Dragon Nova play to make use of in the deck. And also the 2 copies of Pot of Desires. We run a good number of multiples in the deck, other ones that can be searched out quite easily. So once we clear out some of the one-ofs in the deck, we can just draw into more and more resource to use, with the rest of the spells being 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 Call by the Grave, 1 1-for-1, and 1 Foolish Burial to finish off the rest of the spell lineup, with the only trap we run in the deck just being a small hand trap spot being Infinite Impermanence, just a monster effect negation spot to use once we have our monster board set up, whether it be with our Symp Amplifier or just our different monsters we'll make in the extra deck as well. For the extra deck, we're running 2 copies of Symphonic Warrior Rocks with a scale 10 Pendulum Synchro monster. During each standby phase, you can add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Rocks once per turn. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can destroy both that monster and this card. So destruction power on top of the added setup for our Pendulum scale. And if this card's in the monster zone destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place it in your Pendulum zone. You can only use each of the following effects of Rocks once per turn. If it's special summon, you can add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. And if Symp Amplifier is on your field zone, you can destroy 1 card on the field, giving you the added destruction of Rocks to then set it up in the Pendulum scale for us to use its additional destruction power. So we just have destruction power upon destruction power with this Synchro Pendulum monster. We also run the 1 copy of F.A. Dawn Dragster, the 1 Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, the 1 Psyframe Lord Omega, and the 1 Navy Dragon Mech for the rest of the Synchro monsters in the deck. For the Xyz monsters, 1 Cyber Dragon Nova, along with the 1 Cyber Dragon Infinity, with our 1 Sky Crisis for the Xyz monsters. For the Fusion monsters, the 1 Cybersaurus and the 1 Paracycloid for the Instant Fusion and Ready Fusion targets. And then for the Link monsters, the 1 copy of Relinquished Anima, the 1 Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 Barricade Board Blocker, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the rest of the extra deck, running a wide variety of different monsters in the extra deck in total to use. For the actual plays in the deck, as I mentioned before, with Guitar and our Guitarist being some pretty good setup for the Pendulum scale, setting both of these cards up in the Pendulum Scale, being able to have a special summon off of Symphonic Warrior Guitar by discarding one card. So if we discard one of the lower level Symphonic Warrior monsters that make use of the added graveyard plays as well, we can either discard that card to the graveyard to then give us a special summon of a Symphonic Warrior monster from our deck, except for Guitar. So then we can use that card to then grab our Symphonic Warrior mics, using the effect of Guitarist to bounce both of these cards back to our hand. We have our level 5 monster on the field. We can then go for our Symphonic Warrior Guitar for its normal summon to then be able to target a Symphonic Warrior monster in the graveyard, and then go for the added play of summoning out our basis onto the field. We have the additional normal summon as well from Mike, so then we can normal summon out our Guitarist. From there, we've gotten 4 monsters on the field for the play, then be able to target the additional bounce power of Guitarist if we had that additional Pendulum monster. But other than that, we're giving the 5 monsters to use for the added link play we could potentially go into. We could also send the basis to the graveyard to go for the level 1 Relinquished Anima. Using its graveyard effect, then removing the play of this card in our graveyard, select a Symphonic Warrior monster you control, increase its level by the number of cards in your hand. This lasts until the end of the turns, which you can then use for the additional boost. Depending on if we only have 1 card left in our hand, we can increase the level of Symphonic Warrior Guitar to a level 4, and then use it for the synchro play with our Guitarist to then go into our Symphonic Warrior Rocks on the field as well, having that additional destruction power, and then the additional one in the Pendulum Scale as well, since we have the mics on the field also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Once again, this is a very fun machine pendulum deck that I definitely recommend looking into, because there are a lot of different plays you could also make use of in this deck. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.